Hi, everybody. I'm Frank Stanisci, and you're watching Candid Frank Live. Welcome to the Spanglish World Network on Zingo TV, channel 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app at the respective app stores for iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure you rate and leave a comment. Both apps are absolutely free. Zingo TV is available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and also on all smart TVs 2016 forward. Now on Candid Frank Live, joining me, my partner in crime, Aaron William Freeland. Hey, Aaron, how's it going, buddy?
It's going well, Frank. How are you?
Moving out of the trailer. We got the heave ho at the trailer. The new owners said, "Get out. We give you a month." And people nowadays, when your trailer live, it's not like just the trailer. We bought something that was built on blah, 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 and now all of it has to come down, or we have to pay to have it brought down, removed, and all that stuff. So, and of course, it gets a little darker quicker. So we're tight squeeze, and we're about an hour from home. So it's a drive there and a drive back, and it's too bad. I mean, we're just a vacation spot, so we don't have the same kind of rights a person like yourself would, where you're renting, right? Lease?
No, we have a mortgage.
Oh, you have a mortgage. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they can't because you have a mortgage, and even if you were renting, they couldn't either. It's a little different when it's where you reside. They don't consider summer living residential, if you will. So that puts you not in harm's way, but not in a good place. All right, well, let's start. And I guess we can start with the Canadian Football League. The Argos have cinched first place. I witnessed it. What a game! I'm telling you, it's amazing.
I didn't think they were going to be able to pull it out. I'm going to be honest with you. I had this felt to me like one of those games where they've been sort of chirping and making fun of Hamilton all year long, and this felt like one of those games where it all comes home to roost. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, what they did on Friday is what they've done so far all year. McLeod, Bethel Thompson, he's ridden hard by the fans because he's not Ricky Ray, he's not Caleros, he's not he's just not. He doesn't look like a guy who has everything under control. He trips up a lot, and usually in the beginning of the game. But what he has proven is when push comes to shove and it's crunch time, whether it's a touchdown or a kick, he's able to do his part to get those things to happen. We've seen this year last-minute field goals. We've seen last-minute field goals missed by the opposition a few times. So the Argos have been a team that have done enough to win. Now, the question is, that tells you that there's a little bit of luck in what they're doing, right? I mean, even they were Hamilton was going for the TD and he hit the goalpost. That's been the season. The Argo bounce back in the day used to be something really bad. And even, the Argos chant was Argos. It's like they're being haunted, right? It was a haunting. Now it's turned into a positive thing. The Argo bounce has turned into a positive thing. We've seen this all year. We've seen field goals that hit the post, wide by a foot, shanked at the end of the game. And our kicker has been far superior here in Toronto. The Argo kicker has been here and done such a great job. He's made the other kickers look not so good.
I have a question for you, Frank.
Okay, I might have an answer.
When Hamilton finally got points on the board in the third quarter, did you think to yourself, "Oh, here we go," or were you okay?
I to be honest with you, the whole game was, I wonder. This looks like a game that could be lost.
Like, when's it going to happen, right? Because
yeah, well, we're going to interview the guys, right? So because we're going to interview the players, we're okay. Now, what are we going to ask? So how come you blew up? That kind of stuff, right? So coming up with the question is really difficult because you really don't know. And even worse for the writers who are speedily typing, right? They're doing their thing and they're hoping this game ends 5 minutes before the clock runs out, right? So when it doesn't, they're sitting there typing away going, okay, here's what happened now. And they got to wait, see what, oh God, type some more. He hit the post. Oh God, darn it. The Argos got the ball back. Oh no, now they gave it back. And it's like it's like watching Elton John do a concert because they're going nuts. They're going nuts, on their keyboards. And it's a hellish experience. For us, it's a matter of asking questions, stuff like that. So it's not so bad. But for them, it's hellish.
I can certainly sympathize with that.
The rest has been established as well. Calgary now is in the playoffs. And they'll be playing in Saskatchewan, as Montreal and Hamilton still have not decided who's the home team. The inside track belongs to Hamilton, I believe, and that means if they're tied because of goal point differential between the two when they played, they have a bigger, more points. So Hamilton looks like they may be the home team. They may not be the home team, but it's going to be interesting. Trevor Harris looked good. He looked good in his appearance for Montreal, his first start. So he looked good. So that's something for the Argos to be concerned about. And that's something for even Hamilton to be concerned about. If you listen to the fans in Hamilton who think Mazzoli doesn't know what he's doing, get rid of him, coach. CFL fans are so definitive when it comes to good player, bad player. There's no in between. There's no in between. It's all, he's either really good or really bad. Now, there's only two questions you ask a CFL fan. So the West is going to be interesting for sure. So Calgary's handled Saskatchewan this year, so it'll be interesting. Want to move over to some hockey? Go ahead.
Sure.
No, go ahead. No,
I was going to say, what does it mean, though, when the 11-2 Winnipeg Blue Bombers get doubled up by the Alouettes? Probably nothing, right? Because they're
backup quarterback. Backup quarterback.
Yeah.
His first foray into the CFL.
Oh, yeah, that'd do it.
Right. So that's a helpful thing, that kind of thing. But they have another game yet. The question is, are they going to bring Caleros in for that game? Are they going to ease in the regulars and not? I'm not sure it's a very good idea to have players miss 2 games in a row. That might be a little too much.
Well, the other question you get into then is what about risking injury at this point as well?
I
if
know.
You want to try to keep the engine going and keep it warm.
You're right.
Possibility.
But remember, Winnipeg also doesn't play the first week of the playoffs. So Caleros doesn't play the second last game, doesn't play the last game. He doesn't play the next game either because they don't play. They wait for a winner to be decided in that. So 3 weeks not playing, momentum is not a switch. Aaron, we know that from all the other sports we do. Some teams, they look like they can turn it on and off, right? But there's not always that guarantee that you can. So sometimes you have to maintain momentum, and momentum has a lot to do with confidence, right? And the belief. Yeah. And Winnipeg lost, and they can say, well, that was just a game, we didn't care, but it gives Montreal confidence. They're not looking for an excuse to say they have no reason to believe they can. It's a confidence builder for them. So we'll just see. It's going, it's a coaching decision. It's a team decision that can lead to a conversation later that people don't want to have. Is like the one where you say, well, maybe we shouldn't have sat Caleros out for 3 weeks. Maybe we would have won.
Yeah, when you get to the point where you start doubting the decisions, then you got to start wondering maybe if the coach isn't necessarily right for the team. That's another thing to look at too, right? I mean, these players are professionals; they're paid to perform. So even if they do get 3 weeks off, there is also the question that comes along with that: is the coach making the right choices for these?
Well,
players?
this has been a year where weeks off is not. You're not really looking for any weeks off.
Yeah,
I think this season has afforded us fans, media and such, and players and teams. It's afforded us more weeks off than we want. So. There's a lot of energy that's left that still has and can be expended. Let's look at the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I got to tell you, They're doing the same thing. They're finding a way to win. This is becoming a Toronto trait.
Yeah, they threw in a rookie goalie on Saturday. I thought it was kind of nice because it was where Wall was drafted. So he was the only other Leaf beside Austin Matthews that was actually present at the Buffalo draft. So it was good to see him get the start, and more importantly, for the Leafs to actually pull together and get him the win. I know that there were a few momentary lapses where they unfortunately let the game get tied up, but they did find a way and they battled back. I know that Buffalo started the season pretty hot. The fact that they've been ice cold as of late doesn't really change.
It's typical of them.
Yeah, there's cycles.
The past few years, they remember they won 10 in a row, and then they lost 10 in a row, or 12 or something.
17, something like that.
Yeah. So, they're consistent.
In that they're wonderfully inconsistent, yes.
That they change boats never mind.
Change boats midstream, yeah.
They sure do. No, they are what they are anyway. So the Leafs, the other thing I wanted to talk about is that, I think we saw proof why the National Hockey League does not want a team in Hamilton. Why Bettman refuses to put a team in Hamilton. If he allows a team in Hamilton, it won't hurt Toronto that much at all. It won't hurt them. I really don't think so. But if you can't have Southern Ontario people who can't afford to go to the Leaf game, who want to go see pro hockey, and the closest team they've got is the Buffalo Sabres, and they can go there, which they do, at least half the season ticket holders in Buffalo are from Southern Ontario. And then the walk-in crowd, especially when the Leafs are there, it's mostly Leaf fans. So we saw proof why the National Hockey League, Gary Bettman in particular, does not want a team in Hamilton. Because if Hamilton got a team, that Southern Ontario, Southwestern Ontario community, trust me, the Hamilton Tiger Cats are proof that people within the Hamilton area are more than willing to cheer for a team other than Toronto.
My question is, though, do the Pagulas, the way that they've mismanaged the Sabres, deserve to keep a team?
Well, the Pagulas are a family that made money on natural gas and drilling and poisoning communities. That's how they made their money, but it's one of those things where the poisoning that they did, it was more specific and not as general. So, it's okay. It's the lesser of two evils. And they sold all that. And now with the billions that they have, they bought, of course, first they bought the Sabres. And then they bought the Bills because New York State and the governor, Cuomo, would not let the team move to Toronto. Remember? Because that was the conversation. Maybe it's time to move Buffalo to Toronto. And then it looked like there was a conversation. What's his name? The singer, the guy from New Jersey.
Springsteen. Yeah.
No, not Springsteen. The other one.
Bon Jovi.
Bon Jovi. Remember, he was the one that got in with, wasn't it him that got in with MLSC and Larry Tannenbaum and company, and they wanted to buy the team, and he was joining their group, and let's go do it, and it didn't happen. New York State jumped in and said, nope, you're not getting it. Nobody's getting that team. It's staying here in New York. And of course, politics in some ways can dominate, and it did in that case. And so the Pagulas were given a straight road to buying the team. And of course, now they're looking for a new stadium, and they're looking for someone else to pay for it.
This is the way these things tend to work. You have a billionaire that buys the team, but then they don't want to pay for anything else.
So
I've
now
already made my big capital investment. Everybody else owes me money now for providing jobs to the community. And
whatever the logic is. So with the Sabres, right? They already had an arena. There's no new arena needed. I don't think he has a leg to stand on to ask for that. But he definitely has not done it. Well, actually, it's his wife that actually runs the team, if I'm not mistaken.
And the thing is, the arena at KeyBank Center isn't actually all that old.
That's right. That's what it is. It's. I think it's about the same age as the one Toronto's playing in.
I think. Well,
a little newer.
It actually opened in '96. I think back then it was known as Marine Midland.
yes. And
So
when did the Leafs home facility get built? Around the
would have
same
been
time,
1989, 1990.
1990. Okay,
Yeah.
because that's when the Rock shifted from the Gardens to 89. 89 was were the last games at Maple Leaf Gardens. That's right. Anyway, yeah. So the Leafs are doing fine, and their goaltending was questionable, as we talked the last time we talked about Leafs goaltending. Mrazek has not had a history of being healthy. Wall looks pretty good. An opportunity for him to actually stake his claim on that in that position.
It's a very huge opportunity for him. As you know, Mrazek is still out for at least another 3 weeks. So
Right.
that gives the chance for Wall to travel with the team, get a few more reps in with the big club. I think the biggest impediment to his development so far hasn't been anything on ice related. It's actually been the pandemic, because he was set to start to move up, and then all of a sudden there was no hockey. So the opportunity now for him is huge. Really looking forward to it. His mom looks so happy.
Absolutely.
Oh, his mom looked so happy on Saturday night. It was fantastic.
What I'll say is this: what does Wall have to be? What does Wall have to be?
I'm sorry. In all good consciousness, I can't answer that, Frank.
He has to be a Wall.
His nickname might be Berlin.
He has to be some sort of wall. Another brick in the wall. I don't know. He was missing a brick for a little. He was missing a brick for a little while against Buffalo.
You can call him the China Wall too.
There you go. Why not? Why not?
Hey, somebody else already had that nickname, so we got to add the 2 on the end of it, right?
That's right. That's right. So he could be the second version. The second version. Yeah. You know what? So he looks good. The Leaf defense has been criticized by some for not being so goal worthy. Mind you, the winning goal was scored by a defenseman, one recently signed, and people can stop getting riled because Riley scored.
Oh, you know Mo better than most. Exactly what happened on that
punny,
one.
Punny. Punny. Let's talk about some news, because that's what we do here too. What do you want to talk about news-wise?
Well, I was actually looking at some recent developments in the food world. Restaurant Brands International, for example, they're the company that owns Tim Hortons. They're going to be buying Firehouse Subs for $1 billion and adding that to their portfolio. Firehouse has recently expanded. Over 90% of their stores are actually owned by individual franchisees. This is good news.
Where are they owned?
Canada and the States.
Oh, there are some in Canada?
Yep.
I've never seen one.
There's actually a couple down in the middle of downtown Toronto.
Okay.
But they also own Burger King's and Popeye's Chicken. So,
Burger King?
Yep, Burger King, Popeye's Chicken,
okay.
and Tim Hortons are owned by Restaurant Brands International. So
okay. So yeah. Well, that's good for them, I guess.
Yep.
Do you think it'll work? I mean, every time they do that, like Tim Hortons changes a little bit because of who they buy.
True. And most recently, they actually started, Tim Hortons actually relaunched all of their espresso drinks with a back to basics strategy. I personally would prefer it if they cut out everything with the exception of donuts and coffee, but that's just me. If you wanted to get
that's old school, though. That's old school.
Back to basics, baby.
But the reason I'm saying what I said is because if they get into if a company that owns them does sandwiches, are they going to, consider what sandwiches their teammate sells and then frame theirs, accordingly?
Put it this way: I've had Firehouse Subs. They're really good.
Mm-hmm.
If it helps Tim Hortons, so much the better, because most of what Tim offers sandwich wise is crap.
Okay, so obviously, folks, Aaron isn't looking for free sandwiches from Tim Hortons, and even if they offered, he wouldn't accept. but I'm okay with it. It's okay, Tim Hortons. You can send me all the sandwiches you want. I'm okay with it. And you know what, though? You got to throw some donuts in, too. Just a few. We bought some Timbits today, but we didn't have any. We bought them for a friend. So it is what it is. It should be pretty good. In regards to the Canadian government, we still have a premier in Ontario here who's really taking a lot of flack, and there was a rumor that an election might be coming. Is he going to play out the string, or do you think he'll call one early?
I'm thinking at this point, based on a lot of the negative press that he's seeing, he may want to try to hold off a little bit longer. We know that there are certain moves that he's made recently that had people thinking he might be calling an election, specifically raising the minimum wage. And again, with 6 months to go until June, that just sort of seems like one of those. Here's a little bit of milk and bread for you. We're just going to throw that out there and see what happens. I mean, he's still not on.
If he did that now, that would tell you that he was having an election earlier. I think you're right. He's going to wait. They're not going to give that kind of deal until closer to the election. Voters have a short memory.
The other thing that we're looking at here as well is when he comes on board with the federal government's $10 daycare. Even Alberta has beaten Ford to the punch on this. I can't believe that Kenny and the UCP are actually running in front of the Conservative Party of Ontario on this. It's actually kind of embarrassing. But the situation that Ford's dealing with here as well, the lineup for autism and mental health support for autistic kids has continued to grow as well. They're at least 7 or 8 years behind where they should be at this point because of the way that Ford has mishandled that. So with that mental health lobby in the weeds as well, I'm not sure he can afford to call one.
I don't know if you noticed, there was a child born in the U.S. I think it was in Alabama. I want to say, I might be wrong. 21 weeks, survived. Young boy, less than a pound. Twin sister didn't make it though, sadly.
Oh.
Technology is getting pretty advanced. That they can help a child at that. At that time prior to being born normally, before the 9-month gestation period. It's kind of amazing the kind of stuff that science can do. I know for some people science is, poo-poo, but for me, I'm amazed by some of the scientific advancements and the kind of stuff that's going on. Just like, the child thing, you didn't hear about it. I don't know how interesting you find that.
Well, actually, the really cool thing is Curtis, that's the name of the child, is actually going to be famous because Guinness has already certified him as the world's most premature baby ever. So it's interesting to note that his actual due date was Remembrance Day, which just passed.
Yes.
So gratified to see that as well.
Yes, it's definitely something that I found amazing. I really enjoy the idea that, imagine being the parents and knowing that if the baby has to be delivered at that point in time, the fear that must be in your heart, and have at least 50% of that fear realized, losing the female twin. That's got to be really tough. No pun intended here. Good news, bad news is pretty terrible when it comes to that stuff. The good news is great. The bad news is horrible. And I guess it's a saw-off, if you will. That's really sad. But to have the child survive under those circumstances, and as you said, a certified, record in place, that's just it's amazing. I am grateful for that family that he survived.
Indeed, I'm very grateful for that as well.
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Okay, I didn't have my never mind, the microphone. All right, well, real quick, Aaron, you're going to be playing some hockey. You're going to be going to a game on Wednesday. You're going to tell us all about it, right?
I will fill you in on all the details on Thursday when we shoot again at 6:00.
That's right, when we do it then. Okay, thanks, Aaron.
Thanks, Frank.
For Aaron William Freeland, I'm Frank Stanisci. Thank you for watching Candid Frank live, airing Mondays, Wednesdays. And this show can also be heard on the Spanglish World Radio Network. For Candid Frank live, other news, entertainment, and sports programming we offer, please check out SpanglishWorld.ca. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Ciao for now.